Hey, sports card fans, it's John, Wade Boggs fan. Hope you're all doing well. Although the cartoonish quality of 1938 Goudey might appear to diminish the appeal of this 1930s release, the set is highly respected in the hobby. The unique design and quality checklist guarantee that 1938 Goudey will remain a vintage staple for years to come. Before the collecting world had parallel cards or retro issues, there was 1938 Goudey. After putting out two undeniably classic baseball sets in 1933 and 1934, Goudey let the quality slip a bit. In 1935, they crammed 4 players on each card, and all the color was gone the following year. In 1937, Goudey elected not to release a set at all. When it came time to produce a set in 1938, Goudey decided to take a page from the past. Picking up the card numbering from 1933 Goudey, 1938 Goudey is made up of 2 similar subsets, each having 24 cards. The 2.5 by 3 inch cards are officially known as R323 and are fairly scarce. 1938 Goudey card fronts feature caricatures of some of the best baseball players of the time. An artist-colored headshot image with a cartoon body drawn underneath acts as the primary feature of the card. Given that the head is so much larger than the body, the set was marketed as the Heads Up set and still goes by that name. While the first 24 cards show a blank background behind the player's image, the second series adds images and comments, giving them the look of a newspaper cartoon. Those last 24 cards feature the same players and the same order as the first, only with different card numbers. For all cards, the image is located in a solid colored box that also contains the name of the player and team. In keeping with the back-to-basics approach, the card backs are nearly identical to the 1933 Goudey set. The main difference is that there is a line of statistics from 1937 added below the career summary. The first 24 cards mention a 288 card issue, while the last 24 indicate 312 cards in all. Since there were no cards beyond number 288, Goudey apparently scrapped any plans for future series. Just like 1933, the backs are printed in green ink. Collectors should note that there have been reprints of the set over the years, which showcase blue and black ink. Ernie Lombardi's first series card features an additional black baseball in the box below his picture. When the card was printed, Goudey mistakenly named the Red Sox as his team. The baseball was placed over the team name to correctly identify him as being with the Reds. This baseball does not appear on his cartoon card. In this video, I'm going to show the top 10 most valuable cards from the 1938 Goudey set based on their PSA 3 values. I'll also give the values of those cards in higher grades, as well as the population count of those grades. Now, as a side note, because some cards have very low population counts, the values in some grades might not reflect current prices, since it may be a year or two or even more since a copy in that grade has been sold. In those cases, the price shown for the card is from the most recent sale in VCP's database. Now, before I get to the top 10, here are the cards that just missed the top 10. At number 15, the Al Lopez cartoon card. At number 14, the Ernie Lombardi cartoon card. At number 13, the Charlie Gehringer card. At number 12, the Charlie Gehringer cartoon card. And at number 11, the Ernie Lombardi Reds with Black baseball card. So, which cards made the top 10 list? Let's go find out. Coming in at number 10, we have the Bobby Doerr cartoon card. In a PSA 3, there have been 17 graded copies with a current VCP average price of $380. There have been 21 graded a PSA 4 with the last sale at $540. There have been 23 graded a PSA 5, the last sale was for $415. There have been 19 graded a PSA 6, the last sale was for $375. There have been 14 graded a PSA 7, the last sale was for $442. There have been 13 graded A PSA 8. The last PSA 8 sale took place in March of 2021 through Memory Lane and sold for $3,037. And there has not been a PSA 9 or 10 graded copy of the Bobby Doerr cartoon card. At number 9, we have the Joe Ducky Medwick card. In a PSA 3, there have been 15 graded copies with a current VCP average price of $395. There have been 23 graded a PSA 4 with the last sale at $295. There have been 18 graded a PSA 5. The last sale was for $275. There have been 15 graded a PSA 6 with the last sale at $275. There have been 11 graded a PSA 7. The last sale was for $1,033. There have been 15 graded a PSA 8. The last sale was for $10,200 and places the Joe Ducky Medwick card at the number 5 spot in terms of PSA 8 graded copies on this top 10 list. There has been one graded a PSA 9. The last PSA 9 sale was in April of 2019 through Heritage and sold for $10,800. And there has not been a PSA 10 graded copy of the Joe Ducky Medwick card. At number 8, we have the Hank Greenberg card. In a PSA 3, there have been 24 graded copies with a current VCP average price of $540. There have been 40 graded a PSA 4 with the last sale at $945. There have been 21 graded a PSA 5. The last sale was for $1,268. There have been 15 graded a PSA 6. The last sale was for $600. There have been 12 graded a PSA 7. The last sale was $1,875. There have been 11 graded a PSA 8. The last PSA 8 sale took place in July of 2020 through Heritage and sold for $4,080. And there has not been a PSA 9 or 10 copy graded of the Hank Greenberg card. At number 7, we have the Jimmy Fox cartoon card. In a PSA 3, there have been 24 graded copies with a current VCP average price of $785. There have been 43 graded a PSA 4. The last sale was for $706. There have been 32 graded a PSA 5. The last sale was for $1,800. There have been 28 graded a PSA 6, with the last sale at $1,890. There have been 19 graded a PSA 7. The last one sold for $1,157. There have also been 19 graded a PSA 8. The last one selling on March of 2021 through Memory Lane for $4,100. And there has not been a PSA 9 or 10 graded copy of the Jimmy Fox cartoon card. At number 6, we have the Hank Greenberg cartoon card. In a PSA 3, there have been 21 graded copies with a current VCP average price of $898. There have been 32 graded a PSA 4, the last one selling for $1,726. There have been 24 graded a PSA 5, the last one selling for $437. There have been 17 graded a PSA 6, the last one selling for $1,289. There have been 13 graded a PSA 7, the last one selling for $1,380. There have been 10 graded a PSA 8, with the last one selling for $4,554. There have been 4 graded a PSA 9. The last PSA 9 sale took place in July of 2020 through Heritage and sold for $27,600. And there has not been a PSA 10 graded copy of the Hank Greenberg cartoon card. At number 5, we have the Jimmy Fox card. In a PSA 3, there have been 21 graded copies with a current VCP average price of $1,000. There have been 29 graded A PSA 4, with the last one selling for $911. There have been 30 graded A PSA 5, with the last one selling for $1,418. There have been 24 graded A PSA 6, the last one selling for $1,620. There have been 27 graded A PSA 7, with the last one selling for $2,700. There have been 13 graded A PSA 8. The last PSA 8 sale took place in December of 2022 through REA and sold for $6,000. Now, there has been one graded A PSA 9, but there have been no reported PSA 9 sales in VCP's database. And there has not been a PSA 10 graded copy of the Jimmy Fox card. At number 4, we have the Bob Feller cartoon card. In a PSA 3, there have been 23 graded copies, with a current VCP average price of $1,756. There have been 42 graded A PSA 4, with the last one selling for $2,165. There have been 38 graded A PSA 5, with the last one selling for $3,480. There have been 23 graded A PSA 6, the last one selling for $4,800. There have been 14 graded A PSA 7, the last one selling for $3,720. There have been 9 graded A PSA 8. The last PSA 8 sale took place in July of 2020 through Heritage and sold for $12,600, placing the Bob Feller cartoon card also at the number 4 spot in terms of PSA graded copies on this list. And there has not been a PSA 9 or 10 graded copy of the Bob Feller cartoon card. At number 3, we have the Bob Feller card. In a PSA 3, there have been 30 graded copies, with a current VCP average price of $2,400. There have been 32 graded A PSA 4, the last one selling for $2,520. There have been 28 graded A PSA 5, the last one selling for $3,347. There have been 17 graded a PSA 6, the last one selling for $4,080. There have been 12 graded A PSA 7, the last one selling for $3,360. There have been 6 graded A PSA 8. The last PSA 8 sale took place in July of 2020 through Heritage and sold for $15,000, also placing the Bob Feller card at the number 3 spot in terms of PSA 10 or PSA 8 graded copies on this list. And there has not been a PSA 9 or 10 graded copy of the Bob Feller card. At number 2, we have the Joe DiMaggio cartoon card. In a PSA 3, there have been 39 graded copies, with a current VCP average price of $4,320. There have been 38 graded A PSA 4, the last one selling for $7,019. There have been 43 graded A PSA 5, the last one selling for $4,000. There have been 31 graded A PSA 6, the last one selling for $16,800. There have been 20 graded A PSA 7, the last one selling for $18,384. There have been 28 graded A PSA 8, the last one selling for $87,000, placing the Joe DiMaggio cartoon card at the number 1 spot in terms of PSA graded copies on this list. Now, there had been 3 graded A PSA 9. The only PSA 9 sale in VCP's database took place in February of 2017 through Heritage and sold for $288,000. And there has not been a PSA 10 graded copy of the Joe DiMaggio cartoon card. And the most valuable card from the 1938 Goudey set is the Joe DiMaggio card. In a PSA 3, there have been 63 graded copies with a current VCP average price of $4,500. There have been 52 graded a PSA 4, the last one selling for $7,200. There have been 37 graded a PSA 5, the last one selling for $5,651. There have been 13 graded a PSA 6, the last one sold for $3,300. There have only been 6 graded a PSA 7, the last one sold for $16,800. There have been 4 graded a PSA 8. The last PSA 8 sale took place in December of 2023 through Goudey and sold for $63,440, placing the regular Joe DiMaggio card at the number 2 spot in terms of PSA graded copies on this list. And there has not been a PSA 9 or 10 graded copy of the base Joe DiMaggio card. There you go, the top 10 most valuable cards from the 1938 Goudey set. As always, would love to know what you think about the 1938 Goudey set and the cards that made the top 10 list. And stay tuned for next week's episode, in which I take a look at the 1934 to 1936 Diamond Stars set. And if you've missed either of the last 2 videos in this series, you can check them out right here. With that, that's all I have for you. So until next time, thanks for watching.